Hey, my friends, how are you? It's your pal Dave with another weekly update from beautiful Playa Hermosa. It's another gorgeous day, September 21st. Trying to be regular with these Sunday videos. So far, so good. I think this is week number 4. It's been a beautiful day so far today. We've been in the middle of the rainy season, so we've been getting a fair amount of rain. But it's nice right now. I did hear some thunder rumbling off in the distance, so I figured I better get this video done before I get rained on. But it was a good week. I want to show you guys the progress that we've made on the project and maybe ramble about some personal stuff too that's going on in my world. But all is well. Happy in Costa Rica. Where's my buddy? There he is. Hey, buddy. He saw me get up and he's like, "Is it time to go play?" Almost, buddy. We'll get there. And go to the beach here in about an hour or so. Here I am. I'm in my little cabina right here, my big studio cabina. Some point this will be a rental, but for now I'm saving on some rent by living here while we get the rest of this project done. But it's super cozy, and as you can see from that window right there, and as I turn around, the view is not too shabby. So I have a little bit of wind blowing the curtain. There we go. So let me kick my shoes on here and we'll take a little walk downstairs, show you what's been going on. Kind of a weird week for me personally. Let me switch around here. There we go. Look at that view. My God, that never gets old. Just gorgeous. So yeah, kind of a weird week right now. I feel like I'm kind of in limbo right now. Gonna head back to the States, head back to Colorado here at the end of the month. Unfortunately, for a legal matter, I'm the plaintiff in a lawsuit against my former administrator from my CPR business. Sorry for my finger. That's typical of me, though. Long story short, she bought the business and now isn't paying me. So that makes things a little tough. And I think she thought I was just going to roll over and go away. And that is not in your pal Dave's MO. I don't do that. And I got tons of support from my family. And they were like, hell no. We're not going to let her do that to you. So anyway, a little bit of drama right there. At one point, it was really affecting me financially, and to be honest, it's still kind of affecting me financially, but I'm working through all of it. But at one point, I got a part-time job selling solar for a company in D.C., but God, I hated it. I mean, nice enough people and everything, but it was basically a telemarketing job, and it sucked. And to be honest, I don't think I was very good at it. And eventually they fired me. Hey, baby, how are you? She heard us. She's probably ready to go down to the beach, too. Those are my babies right there. That's Babe on the left and Dude on the right. They're my kids. They're freaking awesome. But anyway, I lost that job. But I find myself sitting here going, well, ultimately, I want these cabinas to be my job. I want this to be my source of income. And it should be. I mean, these things are freaking incredible. And the view, as you can see, is just phenomenal. Wait till I take you into this first one here where there's no obstruction of any of the views. So I'm not really looking for another job just yet because, I want to see how things pan out with this lawsuit. And then, I mean, literally, I know it still looks a little chaotic right here, but you'll see when we get up there, we're really close to being done. I mean, when I get back from my trip to Denver around the 4th, 5th, we're literally going to be to the point where it's time to start buying furniture. I'm hopeful that I'll start to get some rental reservations right away. As soon as I get this listed, obviously I'm going to try and be pretty aggressive and try and, offer great deals and things like that. But as soon as I start getting some deposits in, I'll probably feel a bit of relief. But right now, it's just tough. I'm kind of in between gigs. I don't really want to get another job because I don't want to commit to some new job and then quit right away. I don't want to do that to anybody. So I'm just kind of hanging out right now, which is a little on the strange side, especially when the guys are here working. I mean, there'd be like 6, 7 guys here sometimes working, and meanwhile I'm sitting up there in my little cabina, just bored watching TV, trying to find things to do to be productive. Yeah, it's just kind of a strange time in my life right now. I've always been super productive. I always ran my own business, and that was really important to me. And here I find myself now, just kind of a bump on a log. And I know all things will pass with time, but I'm kind of impatient by nature. So it's a little challenging for me right now, but this too shall pass, right? And when I can't do anything about it, I surrender it to the Almighty and trust the process and be grateful for all the wonderful things that I have in my life, my incredible supportive family and all my friends. And, I just keep visualizing what this is going to be like when it's done, how amazing this is going to be, and how it's going to bring new and exciting people into my world. I can't wait to be a host and take care of people who are coming to Costa Rica for an amazing vacation. And I'm really hopeful that these cabinas will be a big part of it. So some of the progress that we've made, the guys are working really hard on the pools, so they've got them covered right now, so they're not getting any water in there. But they're all 3 really close to being done. Well, I should say they're all really close to being done with the tile work, and then they'll do the pumps and stuff. But the pump stuff is all plumbed in. We just have to get it all connected and everything. But the guys painted all of the underside here. I mean, all those angles and everything, that must have just been painstaking. But these guys do such a good job, and they do it with a great attitude. And I mean, it's truly a pleasure to have these guys here. I look forward to them showing up every morning at 7 o'clock, and they are like clockwork. They're just amazing. Now you start getting an idea of why this space is so special here. So they're both at about the same stage of being done. Obviously mine's already done over there, but we got all the railings up. And this one, they've got the painting done to that corner. Hey, buddy. But the railings are all built, and they've got all the electrical in. All the ceiling stuff is in. I have an amazing electrician who just, this kind of stuff is so basic to him, it's not even funny. How about that for a view? It's like we should put a frame around that, right? That one and that one. It's like, doesn't matter which direction you look. Excuse me, it's amazing. So they left an access hole here, which is great, because what my electrician did was, instead of having all the tubes and the boxes running along here and then you have to do another drop down ceiling, he went up and above and dropped everything. So there are boxes up above where you see these wires coming down. So they are boxed in and everything, as they should be, but it just gives you a little bit more ceiling height. So we did actually have to raise up the floor just a slight amount in a few areas just to get it nice and flat for the tile. So all of this is all poured concrete in here now, which is also good because it really seems to make them a lot more stable. It's like that idea of gravity pushing them down. When I'm in mine, which was not done by the same crew, there's a tiny bit of wobble in it in a few places. This is one of my favorite features right here. This is the shower in the bathroom. So you'll have this amazing view when you're in this unit from the shower. It doesn't matter what direction you're looking. It's like all the way around here. Just an incredible view. And then the plan here, if you haven't been paying attention, watching all my other videos, you can see where I cut that space out there, those ruts. That was at one point going to be a main house, but there were a couple issues with it. It was just too big. It was going to be incredibly expensive, and it was going to exceed what we're technically allowed to build on these lots. This is actually zoned agricultural, so there are some more restrictions on lots here than there are in other neighborhoods and stuff. So what I want to do here, what this is, what am I trying to say? Phase 2. This is phase 2. I'd really like to turn this into an event space for birthday parties and weddings and things like that. Not anything huge, but 100 people or something like that. I think we can easily accommodate that. And have kind of an open ramada along here, or hacienda as they call it. So this is where I'd want to do like an apartment for me over here, and then all of this here in between would be kind of covered ramada area, and then we would do an outdoor kitchen over here with a rooftop deck, so you're able to really enjoy the view. That's phase 2 though. That's much more reasonable as far as costs go, and because it's a hacienda like that and it doesn't have walls, it's not looked at as living space. So it's a way to kind of work around the limitations that we have with permitting and stuff. My other thought was that we would do a couple decks, like a small deck here, maybe a deck here, maybe even a deck here, where we could set up glamping tents, fancy camping. And that way, if you're having, if you need to just have extra space, you can have the tents. But imagine if you're having a wedding and you want to have a space for the women to be able to do their makeup and hair and stuff, you can have a tent right there. You can set it up, take it down. And then I even have property across the street here where, again, I can't build a structure, but I can build a deck. And we could even do glamping tents along there. If you remember, my idea with this property is not so much that it's just going to be a dream property for me. I really wanted to turn this into kind of my retirement job. So revenue streams. And that's really steep dropping down right there, but we could very easily do a deck that sticks out a bit and have it be big enough that you can put some tents on it and stuff like that. And then you've probably seen those kind of hammock setups that they do where it's like catamaran netting material, and you can go lay out there. How cool would that be? Being able to, have your own little glamping tent, and then just out in the front you can go out onto your own little hammock and, really enjoy that view. And it does drop down a little bit, so it might be a little scary for people, but I think it would be super cool. So we'll see. We'll see. That's phase 3. Let's get phase 1 done. But you got to dream, right? You got to visualize this stuff and have a dream in mind. I don't care if it takes 5 years. I don't want to get these cabinas done so I can start, getting some income. But then as we go along, I can gradually invest in the rest of the project. So no hurry. Little kitchenette, almost identical to mine. In fact, it really is identical. Little landing here where we'll have just a little balcony where you can step out here and get a little bit of fresh air. I really like it on mine. I was thinking about deleting these at one point, because at one point this was going to be a landing going up to a rooftop deck, but it just wasn't engineered quite right. So we ended up ditching the idea of the rooftop decks, but we'd already built these landings. That one up there, that landing is actually going to be where the air conditioner will go. So we're able to kind of repurpose that little portion there. And then this will be just a nice little spot where you can step out and, enjoy the morning sunrise. Sunrise is right out there. That's dead east right there. So yeah, I wanted to leave each one of these. And then, this one's obviously a little bit different because it's on the edge here. This is the only one that has this window right here, because all the others would just be looking at the wall of the place next to them. So I'm really happy with the progress these guys are making. This has been a hell of a project for me and a bit overwhelming. And then when you start running into personal problems like lawsuits and such, I don't know, sometimes it makes you feel a little bit alone. But you know, then I remind myself that I've got so many friends who are so supportive of this, and my family, of course. And I see the end. I see the end in sight, and it's all about visualization and, trying to do things from a positive place. And I really believe in this project. This is just a phenomenal location. Let me try and zoom in here real quick so you can see. Oh, my phone's giving me grief. Anyway, way down there is Manuel Antonio, the national park. It's 50 miles down there, and I can see the islands right off the coast very clearly. So, what a view we've got here. If you're wondering, if you're not familiar with where I am just south of the town of Jaco. Jaco is just over the mountain right here, and this is all Playa Hermosa that we're looking at. So I'm really in the community of Playa Hermosa, but it's kind of just a Jaco suburb, if you will. Not like Jaco's that big or anything like that. Hi, babe. Big yawn. What a sweet girl. That's my baby right there. Big love muffin. Still dealing with some electrical drama. Unfortunately, the electric company said that our pole was too far. They can only stretch a wire from their main pole, which is way back there. They can only go 40 meters, and we were at like 55 meters. So I moved the pole with my neighbor's permission, and then he decided he didn't want it there. He felt like he didn't like it. So we're working on some other options. Maybe we'll have to go underground with the wire, which is possible, but my electrician is really well connected with everybody at the electric company. It's a small country, and everybody gets to know everybody. So he's helping to try and petition them to give an exception, which would be freaking awesome. But we'll get there, kind of backwards, because generally you try to have things like your electricity ready before you actually start to build. But thank goodness I've got some awesome neighbors just down the hill, Chuck and Edie, who have been lending me I pay for it, but they've been letting me be hooked up to their place. I've been trying to be real conscientious and not run the air conditioner or the hot water heater or anything like that, to just make sure that we don't overload their system. But I want to get my own electricity as soon as possible. They've been so gracious, but I also think they've been incredibly patient, and I don't want to ask them to go too much longer. So, like I was saying, I have land on this side of the property from about the speed bump right there to the beginning of the driveway. So down here, this is where the deck would be. So how cool, right? We could bump out about 20 feet or something like that pretty easily, and then you're kind of hanging off the hillside here with this incredible view. And it's just so quiet and private up here. Down at the bottom of the hill, we actually have an electric gate. It needs to be repaired right now, but it will be. So it's already super quiet up here, but once you've got a gate that's keeping all that riffraff out of here, it's super quiet. So even though you're thinking, wow, glamping tents right next to this road, I don't know if you've noticed, but the entire time we've been talking, I've been out here, not one car has come by, which is not that surprising. Just walking down to the end here real quick before we call it a day. Imagine it without all this construction garbage. So this is where I would do a little owner's cabin over here. And then, the covered hacienda all the way over to that corner. This fencing would get modified for sure. Right now, we have to have this up because of construction. It's just one of the laws that they have here in Costa Rica. But you can see on the end there, the fabric's not on there, so you'll be able to see right through it. And here, I'll show you. I don't want to walk all the way back over there. But at some point, we'll kind of reconfigure that fence because it drops down kind of steep off the other side. And I really want to do a retaining wall along there, which will also bump out our property that much further. So on the other side of that fence, there's still room. It doesn't just drop straight down. So the lot's actually going to be just slightly bigger once we finish with the retaining wall. And this is about where the retaining wall ends. Right here, you can see it sticking out. So the retaining wall will kind of continue along here and go around where I've got my little bench over there. Oh, look at that sweet girl. That is just the embodiment of happiness. You know, if I could come back in my next life and be Babe living this life, I would be a happy guy. Are you happy, girl, baby? Yes, you are. You're so sweet. So anyway, we'll finish the retaining wall all the way around there, and then this corner will be kind of where I envision having an owner's cabin. You know, nothing big, just a little one-bedroom cabin, studio, more or less the same setup that I've got in the one that I'm living in. Maybe a little bit different. Those are designed a little bit more for short term. And this, obviously, I'd want something a bit more long term. But look, we got a little bathroom in here for the guys, and little pseudo septic tank down there for the waste and all that. But I also have land that goes all the way down into the jungle. Not buildable, but how cool would it be to create a little path? You know, just do a little bushwhacking down through here. The guys cut back a lot of the trees just recently because they grow so fast. I mean, I know it looks a little clear cut, but it's also kind of looking dirty because it's a construction zone. But imagine a whole bunch of fruit and nut trees in there to kind of encourage the monkeys and the other animals to come up here. Because this whole hillside all along here is just full of wildlife. All 3 different species of monkeys, sloths, tons of birds. It would just be so cool to create a little path all the way down to the creek at the bottom, and maybe if possible set it up where you can go down there and have a little place to put your feet in the creek or something like that. But we'll see. That's all future projects. Right now, let's get these suckers done so you guys can come up here and visit me. And then we'll work on the rest as time goes. But this is going to be a project. But I'm so happy that we're as close as we are to being done with phase 1. It's just been so hard. Truly one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life. And I went through 2 divorces. So, and went through having my administrator steal my business from me at the same time as I'm doing this. Thank goodness the divorces weren't part of this. That would have been a nightmare. So count your blessings when you can. Come on, baby. Baby, come. Venga. That's come in Spanish. She doesn't listen in English or Spanish. Babe, come on, honey. Come here, big girl. All right, my friends. Well, that's going to do it for another Sunday update from beautiful Playa Hermosa in Costa Rica. I love all your support. Thank you guys so much. You make me feel not quite so alone when I'm out here. So thank you for your support. Any questions, any comments you got, I'll be checking for them in the comment section. So, Pura Vida, my friends. Until next week. Ciao.